Saturday morning, the weather was miserable. Cold, wet, rain, just nasty. But the smell of Vicky making breakfast downstairs made things a little bit more tolerable. June Pup and I ate a little bit of breakfast while Jeremy was down at Mark's, stirring him up.
Uncle Bucko!
What are you doing?
I'm working. Where you been?
Working.
I've been waiting on you.
I got Kenny Power stuff to do.
Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. What are you gonna do to it?
I'm gonna hack the living shit out of it.
You gonna recycle the rest of it?
I'm gonna keep it.
Nice.
And I'm not telling nobody. Kenny's mullet machine will be going.
What about the S10?
S10.
Yeah, the S10 truck. What's up with his
Oh,
truck?
I have no idea.
Is
He's idled now, but now it won't go up the road. I imagine the
Oh,
O2 sensors are probably cooked in it. Kenny's got a list a mile long.
I saw the list. It's big. That's just for the Camaro. You might want to put one beside it for the truck.
So as Jeremy's finishing up down at A1 Auto Parts, June's just getting warmed up for Frisbee time. So I go outside and spend some quality time with June Pup alone because Scrappy went home with Tommy last night. So she's got the Frisbee all to herself. Meanwhile, Jeremy's made it back from A1 and brought Kenny's new sending unit for the Camaro's gas tank. I've got some parts I need to go pick up at Jegs today, mostly fittings to plumb this fuel system and get rid of this teetotal disaster underneath the hood. Someone sent me this really nice Earl's fuel log a long time ago, and I promised I'd put it to good use. We're going to use it on Kenny's car. While I'm taking measurements for this hole in the fuel tank for a bulkhead fitting, Kenny Powers comes flying in the driveway in his Jeep Cherokee. He's running a little bit late.
I drove through pouring down rain, then I hit the hail, then I hit the sleet, and then I hit the snow, and I hit sunshine.
Kenny brought with him this Grant steering wheel to replace the stock airbag wheel. So I add a Grant steering wheel 5-bolt installation kit to my parts list as we all head to Jegs. June Pup has to go with us. She wasn't taking no for an answer. When we got to Jegs, the place was packed. There wasn't even hardly anywhere to park out in the parking lot. Uncle Craig was busy, Miss Kimmy was busy, and Uncle Terry was definitely busy. We took a number and waited our turn and did a little browsing in the showroom while we waited for Uncle Terry. I explained to Terry what we were doing and how we planned on doing it, and Terry compiled a list of all the fittings that we would need. Everything was going good until Uncle Rob showed up.
What are you doing here?
Getting some wiring stuff.
Which one?
Yeah, it's blasting a glass, let me tell you.
Rob's a character. He was there picking up some parts for Billy. Meanwhile, Uncle Terry's got me all my fittings laid out, and we're almost done. I'm just hanging out, watching the salesman roll parts past me that I'd love to have, can't afford. And then here comes Miss Kimmy.
Guys, watch the channel here.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? You put Miss Kimmy up to this? Bless her heart. This young man and his wife and his newborn baby came in, and they watched the channel, and they were talking to Miss Kimmy about it. So she brought them over and introduced us, and I hung out and talked to them for a little bit while Uncle Terry was finishing up my parts order. I offered a few words of parental advice to a young father, and they were on their way. Meanwhile, Uncle Terry's just about got us finished up with all these fittings and parts that I needed.
Kenny Powers Project.
The Kenny Powers Project. That's it. That's the official name. So Kenny and I head back to the house, and I find Miss Vicky in the office when I get back to the shop, checking on emails and downloading pictures that people have sent with their merchandise. And Tommy came over to help me load up the Malibu in the enclosed trailer. The plan is to take the Malibu to Edgewater tomorrow to test the car and see what kind of an ET improvement we've gotten out of all the new suspension parts and the carburetor tuning that I've done. But first, I need to dry the car off and get it cleaned up before we put it inside. Once Tommy got the old Malibu pulled up in the trailer, he went ahead and tied it down for me. While he's working on that, I go ahead and fire up the generator and check the lights and make sure everything's ready to go. Meanwhile, in the shop, Kenny Powers and Uncle Bucko are hard at work on the old Camaro. They've got all the fittings laid out and the new gas tank is ready to go in the car. So they run the Camaro up on the lift and Jeremy explains to me the art of his repairs.
You fixed the fuel tank? Yeah.
How?
I put the bung in like I lived my life, upside down and backwards.
While Jeremy and Kenny continue to work on the Camaro, Vicky and I have to leave. We got to go over to Jeff and Tiffany's tonight to have dinner with them and Tommy and Allison. We're working on a new video project that I think everybody's going to enjoy. It's a little different. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, Kenny and Jeremy stayed out in the shop until almost midnight, working on Kenny's Camaro to get a head start on the next day's worth of work. Our goal is to have the Camaro at Lucor Monday afternoon. By Sunday morning, the weather has improved dramatically. However, my plan to go to Edgewater has changed because Miss Vicky didn't want to get up that early, and we were quite certain that Tommy and Allison probably wouldn't be able to get up early enough to go to Edgewater. And to be honest, a 2-minute drive to Trails seemed like a lot better deal than a 2-hour drive to Edgewater with the fuel prices the way they are. So, we hit the road down to National Trail Raceway, just a few miles from our house. They have an open test and tune today that should offer us plenty of opportunities to make passes. So we unload the Malibu, fire it up, and let it warm up a little while because it was definitely cold last night. It took about 15-20 minutes to get the car up to temperature, fill out my run card, and prepare to head to the staging lanes to see where we stand and get our first baseline run of the day. All right, so we're here at Trails today, our home track, and we got the Malibu here. We're gonna just make a shakedown pass on it, just see where we're at. Since the last time we had the car to the track, we've made some suspension changes, of course. We've made a gear change. I've done a little bit of carburetor tuning. So the last time I had the car at the track, it went 1246 at 107. We're going to see where we're at right off our baseline first, and we'll go from there. I've got my tuning supplies here. I've got jets and a timing light, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do a whole lot of tuning today. Usually I would do that at a private track room, but we'll see how it goes. Allison's here today, Tommy's here today. They're going to help me film, and we're going to let Allison make some passes. We'll see how that goes.
I think Mom should make some passes in her green truck.
No, we're not. No.
Allison told her to earlier, and she was like getting all excited. So
we'll see how it goes. She's gonna bring lunch down. Jersey Mike's, baby.
For the 5th time this week.
So a few minutes later, we get the call to head up to the front of staging, right up to the ready line for the first pair down with the slick cars. Unfortunately, the slick cars tend to be pretty noisy, and I couldn't even hear if the Malibu was still running or not when I left the starting line. Now, generally, once I've made a bunch of improvements to a car, they're always slower for whatever reason. When you think they're going to be faster, they're slower. Every time. And such was the case this time.
Looks like it left really straight. That roll bar's really working.
All right, that didn't feel too bad. It felt pretty strong going through the traps. The carburetor seems pretty decent. I feel like I was distracted a little bit by the car near the lane. It's pretty loud. I don't think I hit the tree very good. I feel like I missed it, but we'll see what the time slip says. The last time we ran the car, we were at Edgewater, which the elevation at Edgewater is quite a bit lower. Generally, Edgewater is about a 1/10 faster than Trails on average. So a 57 at Trails is roughly a 47 at Edgewater, and that's about what it ran the last time. So I think I missed the tree a little bit. The 60 foot doesn't really show any improvement whatsoever. I'm a little bit surprised at that.
It looked like it drove straighter though.
It did. It looked like it drove straighter to me. It felt like it drove straighter. Like it went right down, no trouble. I'm a little bit surprised because it felt faster, honestly.
Did it spin at all? Could you feel it? I know you can't hear it, but
I can't hear it, and I really...
because the track was junk. All the hard tire guys left water up on the starting line. So,
well, I mean, I don't know. We'll watch the video, just see what it did.
it was going in the 1150s at Edgewater, wasn't it?
1240s. It felt fine though. It didn't stumble or anything.
I couldn't hear the other guy. His car was so loud.
All right. Well, there's our baseline. We'll go. So with my first baseline run of 1257 at 107, I decide to go up and turn the nitrous on in second gear. Spray 150 shot from the gear change at second gear all the way through the finish line, and just see if this thing will click an 11-second pass off on a little bit of spray. I came very, very close. Just in second and high gear, the old Malibu clicked off 1203 at 115 miles an hour. The main reason I didn't try to spray it in low gear is because of the 7.5-inch 10-bolt rear end and 26 spline axles. All right, guys, we've had a really good day today. Allison's having a blast. She's been hot lapping the old Malibu and making some licks in it. She's really happy. She's excited. Tommy's happy. He's excited. I'm happy, but I'd be a lot happier if I could leave here with an 11-second time slip. So, I'm gonna make one more lick in this old Malibu today, and we're gonna turn the nitrous on a little bit earlier, see if we can't get an 11-second ET slip out of this old girl. So I head to the staging lanes with a plan. I intend to hit the nitrous after the initial launch and hold it all the way down. I got a front row seat to an almost crash. I grabbed the nitrous as soon as the car launched, and Luke Corcoran stands his Camaro straight on the bumper. I kept a close eye on him all the way down to make sure he stayed in his lane. It came close, but he held it in his lane, and I got my 11-second time slip, just as Miss Vicky comes pulling in her old 64 Chevy pickup truck.
What a great Sunday drive.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I freaking love that thing.
Trucking?
I love it. Well,
I got my 11-second time slip. 1170 to 116.
what'd you do different?
I sprayed it.
Oh.
That time it left a lot better. So after I got my 11-second time slip, I decided to pack up and head back to the house to help Kenny, Jeremy, and Uncle Rob work on Kenny's Camaro. They've been hard at it while we were down there at the track, and Rob has replumbed the entire fuel system from the tank all the way to the carburetor. I decided to take the truck down and get a little bit of race gas so that when they get the fuel system completed, we've got a little bit of fuel to put in the tank so we can fire up the Camaro, hopefully this evening. When I got back to the shop, I snuck a peek up underneath the Camaro, and as usual, Rob's knocked it out of the park. But Jeremy, he's up at the farm helping my dad for a few minutes. Today's the day Dad hooked the plow up to the John Deere A and set the 314s in the ground for the very first time. His freshly rebuilt John Deere A runs like a top, and it doesn't even crack the governor pulling 314s behind it. Dad is super happy. Meanwhile, back at the shop, Rob has finished up the fuel system, and we're less than an hour away from flushing the fuel lines. Miss Vicky takes off in her C10 to go get groceries so she can cook out on the patio hamburgers for everybody tonight. That sounds pretty good to me. Back in the shop, Kenny and Rob are rewiring the entire ignition system and the fuel system, and I quickly received notice from June Pup, it's time to play. So I take the dogs outside to throw the frisbee a few more times because spring is definitely in the air. Everybody's into racing or firing up their cars for the first time, like Mark from A1 and his black big block dual quad 55 Chevy. Jeremy's hard at it down there at the shop, replacing the steering wheel, while Mark's sending me videos of his 55, and Kenny and Rob are finishing up the fuel system, and they're flushing the lines to get any material out of the fuel lines and keep it out of the carburetor and the fuel pressure regulator. Once we had that done, it's time to dump 5 gallons of race gas in the fuel tank and check for leaks, turn the fuel pump on, and set the fuel pressure. Then it's time to hit the key. After we had the Camaro fired up for a few minutes, I decided to go up on the porch and check with Vicky and see how she's doing with dinner and see if the kids are coming back to eat with us. What you doing there, Squirrely Locks?
Cooking dinner.
Are the kids coming back?
I don't know. I think they might have fallen asleep. I can't get
Oh.
one of them to reply.
Did you call them or text them?
Text.
You got a call. Well, boys, what a day. What a last couple of days. You got a lot done today.
Yes.
Uncle Rob, you did a fine freaking job.
We had to do something.
Oh my God, it was a disaster. The wiring,
Everything's cleaned up, tucked away, nice and neat.
What's the verdict?
Kenny has oil pressure and fuel pressure
This
for the
is
first
good.
time ever. He's only had one at a time.
This is progress.
It is progress. However, Kenny has a new list of needs.
Of course.
Yeah. 1, it needs a flex plate. 2, it needs header gaskets. You're holding up 3 fingers. You can't count. Look at your
up.
fingers.
3's next. I'm ahead of you.
You're never ahead of me. You're always behind. It needs the valves adjusted. It needs header gaskets. It needs a flex plate. It needs a harmonic balancer with the correct timing pointer, because right now it's foobar. Transmission cooler lines, valve cover gaskets. Nothing about $5 won't fix. So, we're back. Tommy here fell asleep before dinner.
Yeah.
He got a little bit of sun today. Look at
Did
him.
I? Oh man, I kind of did.
He looked like a
I
lobster.
was only outside for a couple hours.
So we had a good day today. We went to trails, we went testing. The Malibu ran pretty good. It didn't run as good as I had hoped, but thinking back on it, I realized a couple things. One, when I ran it at Edgewater, I only ran it with like a quarter tank of gas. And today when I took it down there, it has a full tank, because I had just filled it up right before I had parked it out there in the yard. I don't know exactly how much more gas was in it. I don't even know how many gallons that tank holds specifically. The gas gauge doesn't work. It only goes to half a tank. So when it's completely full, the gauge only reads half a tank. So I don't know. But I do know that it only had like 5 or 6 gallons in it when we were at Edgewater, and it was completely full today. So it was probably 12, maybe 15 extra gallons of gas in it. So a little bit of weight there. And, you know, like I said in the video, Edgewater is usually 1/10, sometimes 2/10 faster than trails due to elevation. And today probably wasn't the best day. I think, was this the first day trails has been open?
I think so.
Yeah, I think this was the first day. So the track's green. It's going to take a little while for it to come around. And it definitely did, because the last run I made today, when I hit the gas on the Malibu, it hunkered down and just took off. I couldn't tell, I haven't been racing the car very much, and I couldn't really tell whether it was hooking or spinning earlier in the day. The cars were pretty loud, and it's just hard to hear and feel in that car. But the last pass I made, the 60 foot, was 172. which is like 600ths faster than the fastest 60-foot that I've ever gotten out of
You
it.
shaved 3/10 from your second to your third pass. I think you went 12:09 and then you went 11:70.
Yeah, but that was spraying it.
Oh,
That was spraying it.
gotcha.
1203.
Yeah.
1203. So the nitrous works really good. So like I showed you in the video, the second pass I sprayed from second gear through third gear, and it went 1203 at 115. And then I let Allison drive it today, right? And that's going to be on your guys' channel.
Yeah, she had a pretty good time. It was a good opportunity for her to knock the rust off, and when she goes to get in her dart, she won't be so frazzled. She'll be good to go.
Well, I don't think she's going to be frazzled in the dart,
Well,
but
no,
the Malibu is a totally different car. It's a totally different feel. The power brakes feel different. The car itself is on coil springs, so it feels like you're in a Cadillac.
the dart ride's a lot stiffer.
Yeah, the dart's really stiff, a lighter car on leaf. Well, no, it wasn't on leaf springs. It had coilovers.
Mm-hmm.
But the Malibu is like riding on a cloud. Like a loose cloud.
Yeah.
And it's better now with the suspension. It's much better now with the suspension. But the Malibu has no shocks. There's like no shocks. The original shocks are bolted on the car, but they do almost nothing. Right?
Yeah.
You a little tired, Tommy?
Yeah.
You up a little late last night, son?
I am every night.
Did I make you get up early today?
Yeah. It was worth it.
It was worth it, though. All right, guys. So watch for Tommy and Allison's video of her running the Malibu today. That's coming up, right?
Yeah.
When are you going to get that one done?
Well,
now, don't tell
every
me
time I say 7 o'clock, it means 9 o'clock. And if I say 5 o'clock, it means 7 o'clock. So
the next day.
yeah. Something always happens when I go to upload a video. The universe is always trying to stop me from getting anything done on schedule.
Okay. So maybe tomorrow.
It'll be up tomorrow. I make shit happen, but it's just late. I make shit happen late.
Good night, everybody. Watch for Tommy and Allison's video of Allison running the Malibu at trails. Should be up tomorrow. Good night, everybody.